Hi, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Mailers. I'm Paul Bobnak for Who's Mailing What, a direct mail 2.0 company. Today I'm talking with Jeff Peterson. He is the executive director of the Foil and Specialty Effects Association in Topeka, Kansas. And we're going to be talking about embellishments in direct mail, the upcoming Amplify Print show, what the FSEA does, and Jeff's background as well. Now, before we get started, if you have any questions or feedback, please leave comments in the box below. You can show your support for this video and for the channel in general by tapping the like button. And to get notified of when new videos are added to the Who's Mailing What channel, click on subscribe. So Jeff, welcome to Meet the Mailers. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Yep, glad to be here.
Well, why don't we get started before we get into some of the real details? Tell us about your background and what led you to FSCA.
Sure. Many years ago, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago, but several. Soon after college, I started working for a company in the Kansas City area that is involved in foils, hot stamping foils, and engravings and dies. Universal Engraving is the company that's in there in that area. So I started there. So I got my feet wet in the industry, working for them. A few years later, I started my own business, and we started working with the Foil and Specialty Effects Association, and started a magazine for them. At that time, it was called Inside Finishing. We have now changed the name a few years ago to Post Press Magazine, that we publish quarterly print, and we have a monthly e-newsletter, and other things we do with the website, webinars, and other things along those lines. So that's where I kind of got started with FSEA, working with them, and then I became the executive director of FSEA in the early 2000s, and took over the association, and we still publish. The publishing side of my business still publishes the magazine as well.
Gotcha. So, I am a big fan of embellishments in direct mail. I've been seeing like a growing use of them, and we can talk a little bit about that later. But for people in the direct mail space who may not be really aware, can you talk about FSEA's mission and what kinds of companies are the members?
So I always say we have really two types of missions as an association. First of all, is to educate our members, both what we call active and associate slash suppliers, and those are companies that are involved in the processes of finishing and embellishment. So it's all the things that are done after print, basically. Sometimes in line with print, where they're adding a metallic decoration or possibly a spot coating, laminations, anything that's really that additional finishing, embellishment process. The companies that are involved in that process, those members are folding carton companies, label manufacturers that are doing those processes. A base of our membership is what we call print trade finishers that do a lot of those processes for the commercial print market. And then commercial printers and digital printers that are doing those types of processes as well.
Right, right. So let's talk about something that brings together both the community as well as the education, and that's Amplify Print, which is coming up. Can you give us a rundown of what this event is all about, when it is, how many exhibitors, expected
Sure.
attendance, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're a little less than 2 weeks away from Amplify, and it'll be happening at Rosemont in the Chicago area at the Rosemont
Hmm.
Convention Center there, right by the O'Hare Airport.
Hmm.
And it's very focused on print embellishments, print finishing. So besides the embellishments, uh, processes such as folding, gluing, and die cutting, and as well as the foil stamping, cold foil. Certainly, a real growth area in our space is digital foil, digital spot coating that's done from a digital inkjet process, or what they call a sleeking process, that are both digital processes. So
Mhm.
all of that is part of our event. The exhibitors are all, around those types of processes, from UV coating, foil, lamination, and die cutting, folding, gluing. We have all those. We have machinery in those areas, as well as, over 65 exhibitors that'll be at the event.
Cool, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things I noticed in looking at the website, this is June 10th to the 12th, right?
Correct. Yep.
Correct. Cool.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed in reading looking over the website for Amplify Print is this technology zone, as you call it, on the show floor. Can you talk about that, unique value to attendees? Because to me, you go to a lot of trade shows and there's like sensory overload, and there's also like a lot of running around to do when it comes to demonstrations and going into workshops. So what is the unique value that this is going to bring to attendees?
Yeah, I think this is something that's very unique to our event, is that we have a whole area, as you said, called the technology zone. And not all of the equipment, some of the equipment's in the booths, but certainly
Hmm.
some of our larger equipment. That is, we have a comma foil stamper die cutter, we have a Sakurai UV coater, screen UV coater. We have Fuji has a digital print and embellishment press, and there's just several different other types of equipment. There's a signature folder gluer that does, carton folding gluing in there. And what's unique about it is that we have all that equipment in one space, and then we do programming, pre-set up programming, and on those different pieces of equipment. So it's part of the schedule, and so people realize they can come over for a presentation demonstration on this equipment over the 2.5 days of Amplify. And of course, there's other demo times too, but it does provide these companies an opportunity to have a program on their machine versus just people coming to their booths and looking at their equipment. So that's a unique thing that we bring, that we think, as you said, is different than just going from booth to booth at a show.
Right. Or collecting all the literature and getting on the email list and all that, and still, not really like having that hands-on firsthand experience of using the equipment.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So, I noticed that sustainability is one of those topics that's on the agenda. What concerns do brands or printers have about embellishments and what their environmental impact is?
So, what's happened in the last few years is that sustainability has been a big topic, certainly with packaging, and specifically that's the big
Mhm.
area for sustainability. And our area has been targeted somewhat, and we believe the reason is because of a lot of the cartons or labels, if they have the fancy, shiny metallic foil on
Mhm.
it, automatically brands or even consumers believe, well, maybe it's not recyclable. Maybe it's not a sustainable product. So we've spent a lot of effort in creating some studies that help defend those situations. And we have two very specific ones. One, that our first study that was done about 4 years ago showed that having metallic foil on a carton box or even a label does not inhibit the recycling process. It doesn't cause a problem if it goes through with the rest of the paper and fiberboard. It's such a small amount. The metallic, the actual layer of metal is aluminum. It's vacuum metallized. It actually can dissolve in your hand. It's so thin, microns thin. It does not cause a problem. We got a second situation where brands said, okay, great, thank you, but is it being recycled? It's great that it is recyclable, but is it happening at the MRFs? And so we did a second study with the people that supply the sorting equipment at all the different municipal recovery facilities all over the United States. There's one type of sorting equipment that most of them have. It's called Van Dyke. We did a study with them. We put through greeting cards. We went through folding cartons, several pieces of printed material that had foil on it. And every one of them, 100% of the samples were sorted for the recycling and not for the landfill. And so we have a full study on that. So we've kind of covered both bases. That's really helped our members and the brands who are concerned about it have good information about sustainability and metallics.
So that's given them like some kind of guidance about the kinds of things that they could be doing
Yes.
for more reusability and better solutions.
And certainly direct mail falls into that too. We've had inquiries
Yeah.
from that standpoint. Some of the larger businesses, and I know, I don't have to name them. Some of them that have utilized foil and embellishments on many of their direct mail, outreaches. Credit card. I can maybe say credit card company and specifically, and that has used a lot of it. Some of those questions have come up there too. And so these studies have been very, helpful to our members who are involved in doing those processes on envelopes and direct mail to make sure they're letting them know that these envelopes or the postcard or whatever it might be is recyclable once it's mailed out.
Right, right. Well, in line with all the advancements, as well as industry education, why don't we talk about embellishments and direct mail? I know that FSEA partnered with a company, a car wash chain, to do like an A/B test to see like a simple postcard mailing. Can you share the basics of that case study with us?
Yes, most certainly. As you mentioned, we were able to communicate with and create a partnership with a large Midwestern car wash that has car washes all over the Midwest, and they were willing to work with us on basically a study, a test where we took a postcard, and I can show it on here. This was the postcard that we did.
Awesome.
In this one, you can see some of the shiny foil. It has some specialty coating on it, and then on the back was a barcode that you could use for a free car wash. So we took half of the postcards that looked like this and was all cool, and then we did another. The other half of the postcards looked like this, but just plain printed. There was no foil. There was no spot textured coating on it. And we sent that out to the same general area, about 7,500 of them. And what we found out is that there was almost over a 4% increase in those who brought the postcard in because they were able to scan the barcode. So the barcode was different for the embellished cards, and the other barcode, of course, was for just the plain printed. There was an over 4% increase in those who brought the card in for a free car wash from the embellished cards because it was noticed more. And as you know, Paul, you're in the direct mail area. 4% is a pretty huge percentage difference in direct mail. So that was really interesting. We had some partners we worked with, Hudson Printing, who did all the work for us. They're out of Salt Lake City, all the embellishments was done on a Scodix digital embellishment press that did the spot textured coating in the foil. So it all worked out well. Hoped for good results, and we did receive them. So that's available on our website at fsea.com if anyone's interested in getting a copy of that study.
Sure. Yeah, I recommend it. I check that out. One barrier to more usage of embellishments and direct mail for some companies might be the cost, of choosing like one treatment instead of another or none at all. So what kinds of things can mailers do to keep their cost affordable while still trying to lift that response like happened in that campaign?
So, one of the things that in our industry has changed, I mentioned like the digital embellishment presses. Those are, a great way to go if your quantities are somewhat smaller because the
Hmm.
tooling and so forth aren't involved with applying the foil. And then if you're getting into larger runs, you can go more to like a foil stamp or you can foil and emboss something. So there's different options. Cold foil is another option that can be done in line with the printing.
Hmm.
So, and that again it can be more economical for larger sized runs as well. So there's some different options, and really things like quantity and exactly what you're what you're looking for and how it looks can determine what you might want to do. But really it's kind of like what we did for for this study on the car wash is what we need to sell is that yes, there's going to be some additional costs versus just printing your envelope or just printing a postcard. But if you look at those types of increases in response rate, having a little more investment is gonna pay off more times than not. So,
Hmm.
those are the things that we really sell is that extra investment is going to pay off for you.
Right, right. And some of these embellishments too, if you want to talk about that as well, might be eligible for USPS promotion discounts, which generally I think run about 4%. And their calendar is throughout the rest of the year. And I believe they're been approved for next year already.
Yes, and that had just I know got approved and started
Mhm.
again. So we're certainly getting the word out there for our members to take advantage of that, and some certainly to tell brands and others because the larger mailers are really can take advantage of significant discounts with that, and most all of the different type of embellishment techniques are eligible for that. I even
Mhm.
see that, even doing a flood UV coating on a postcard that, creates a little different look is eligible. So virtually most of anything that you do extra on top of the print
Mhm.
um, to create a better look to the piece can be eligible for those discounts.
Right, right, exactly. And all that, there's like detailed guidelines on the USPS website Business Gateway for all of these promotions. And it really gives you like what's eligible, what's not eligible. But if you're really not sure, just contact them and they'll be happy to help you.
Right.
Uh, so, one of the things about using embellishments and finishing uh, seems to me like it's part about how, in a lot of ways, print and mail is becoming more of a premium product instead of like a low margin, high volume mass mailing product. And I look at like a lot of mail, like I said before, where I'm seeing metallic inks and glitter coatings here and there. And, something I got the other day, this coating which has, a couple different finishes on it. Soft touch, there's spot UV on these items on the inside. And it's really like a very impactful kind of self-mailer, B2B self-mailer. And it really stands out. Um, Plenty of other examples, but is that what it seems to you like that with the decline in mail volumes, that there's that opportunity for using embellishments more to make a mail piece really stand out and be like more intentional about how you're trying to reach your audience?
I think that's a great point, Paul, that everybody knows that printing costs have gone up, and certainly we know that postage costs have come up.
Yeah.
So companies are smart. So what they're doing is targeting uh, better than they probably were before, making sure they're targeting their list, and then they're printing less and mailing more.
Hmm.
And if they're doing that, then they want to make sure that that audience is reading what they're sending and that it's grabbing attention. So it's funny to say, but honestly, I don't know if it's good for the industry overall because quantities are going down. But it's probably really a positive for our niche in the
Right.
industry because people realize they better and potentially need to do that, go that extra mile to make sure their piece is, standing out and looks good. So
Hmm.
I think that's definitely happening.
Hmm. So, is there a mail piece that you received recently that really made you stop and pay attention, that really grabbed you and they inspired you, but you responded to it or you thought about, gave it that consideration?
I see a lot of different pieces, and so
Yeah.
it's interesting. I was thinking that because I saw that question, and I thought I would just show this, and it's a little somewhat self-promoting, but
Of
this is
course,
a
right.
piece that Parkland Direct, who is one
Hmm.
of our good members and does all types of different envelopes, but they very
Hmm.
much specialize and you may be familiar with them. They
Oh,
specialize
yes.
a lot of embellished envelopes, and they strongly believe in them. They did
Hmm.
this for our Gold Leaf Awards, and it came out beautiful. And if you see the leaf here,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sorry, I know it's kind of difficult to see, but there's some real definition in that leaf with the gold
Yes.
foil, and you can see the
Hmm.
lines and so forth.
Right.
And what that is that we call that refraction or micro etched, and they do that in the engraving in the die. They micro etch little lines within the engraving to create definition in the image. And we did that with this leaf, and it just
Hmm.
came out super beautiful. Parkland did an awesome job and giving them a little pub because they helped us put that all together. So we sent that out for our Gold Leaf Awards with our entries, and we got great response. We think we've done a postcard in the past, but this was kind of a step up to do the envelope in the postcard in the card inside, and we got great response from that. So um, just a good example where kind of going that extra mile,
Hmm.
makes a difference.
And of course, the Gold Leaf Awards is going to be part of the Amplify Print as well, right?
It will be the first night of Amplify Print will be when we give out all of our awards for all
Hmm.
kinds of different categories for embellishments, and direct mail is certainly one of those categories that we have that
Oh, I
will be
love that.
given out.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Yeah. I love to hear that. I've talked with other folks on this program before, Scott Evans from Kenmore Envelope and Christopher Matthews from Cenosphere, talking about how they're using, these techniques. And it's really like it's very cool and very,
Yes.
very cutting edge. Um, why don't you tell us about what your websites are for FSCA and Amplify Print for folks to find out more about all of the activities?
100%. Our website, I think I mentioned earlier, is fsea.com. So
Hmm.
very easy. There's a lot of great information on there. As I think you and I talked earlier, there's some videos. We
Cool.
have the studies that we've done, the access to the studies, both sustainability studies and studies like the direct mail study. We also have done some studies on the impact of foil on the shelf as far as consumers, and that they see items on the shelf that include
Hmm.
embellishments and foil, that they'll go to those first. So we've done some things with that. So a
Oh,
lot of
wonderful.
different things. Yeah, all kinds of different things like that. We have, if you're looking for somebody that to do specific embellishments, we have a finisher finder area to look at our, to check out for all of our members. And if that you possibly somebody in your area, somebody that's doing something very special, you can look that up on there as well.
Okay. Very cool.
The other website, real quick, is is
Sure.
amplifyprint.org, and that's where
Hmm.
you can register and see everything that'll be happening in 2 weeks for the event. So I
Okay.
really encourage people that see this, if they're interested in embellishments, if they're doing embellishments now or considering adding, there will not be a better event for you to attend and see what's happening in the industry. Digital, cold, hot foil, specialty UV, all of that will be on display, and we have programming that goes along with it. So encourage you to go to amplifyprint.org and look at coming and visiting us in a couple weeks.
Okay, awesome. And then hopefully like another one in 2 years.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, we're doing this event every 2 years. And
Hmm.
next year we'll have a more of a conference that's our print embellishment
Hmm.
conference. And so that'll be a little more of a conference setting. And so that's kind of the schedule that we do.
We'll check that out too as well. Well, again, thank you so much for being part of Meet the Mailers today. And thank all of you out there as well for joining us. Remember, your question and feedback is welcome. Tap those like and subscribe buttons. And if you want to be featured in a future Meet the Mailers, please reach out. My contact info can be found in the paragraph below by tapping Show More. And we'll talk about how we can showcase your company, your solutions, your thought leadership. Just reach out to me. Thanks again for watching Meet the Mailers, and see you here next time.